Hello everyone, and this is Phoenix here, and today we're going to be doing a top 10 list on top 10 most relaxing video game music. Now there's a lot of games out there that definitely have some relaxing music in it, but I find the most common genre to have a lot of these would probably have to be a mixture of RPGs, visual novels, and whatever the hell you would consider The Flowers of Robert Mapplethorpe. And no, that game will not be in the top 10 list, but I figured I'd mention that because fuck that game and fuck the CDI, and also, well, I gotta make fun of it somehow. So anyways, I'm giving you guys a little bit of a spoiler and saying that a lot of the games I will be mentioning, not all of them, but a lot of them, will be RPGs. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, well, not only that a lot of RPGs have very good music, but I also find that a lot of them also suit the tone very well. So whether you're a fan of the genre or not, you have to admit, a lot of the music in those games are definitely very fitting to what they're trying to do. Now, could you imagine a fighting game having relaxing music in the background? And that just wouldn't make any sense whatsoever, unless, you know, the game is just trying to be as ridiculous as possible. So I think you get the idea by now. So anyways, let's start talking about some relaxing music that you could possibly go to sleep to, or study to, or, I don't know, maybe even do like a hardcore workout, whatever the hell else you want to do. So let's get this thing rolling. So for number 10, we have Mach-N X with K, and I don't mean literally the letter K, I mean like K-E-I. I consider this to be a very overlooked Dreamcast game, where it's like a first-person shooter, but you're using a sword. Anyways, this is probably my favorite song within the entire game, but unfortunately, I can't remember where the song plays in the game because it has been a while since I've played it. But I really like how ambient it sounds, and I also really like the piano in the back. I find it to be very soothing. So overall, I find this to be a very relaxing piece of music that happens to be a part of a very obscure game. And as for number 9, we have Sonic 3D Blast with Rusty Ruins Act 2. And just by the way, this is the Saturn version because I find that version has better music. Anyways, this is probably the most relaxing song I've heard in a Sonic game. There are a few other ones that I can think of that are also relaxing, but this one is probably the most, and also I just really love it a whole lot. So of course I find this song to be very soothing, and I just love the way how they use the instruments within this song. And the first things that comes in my head when I first hear this song is usually just a whole bunch of mountains and some rivers and such. I don't know, that's what I think of. Even though in the levels I don't think there's any rivers, but there are definitely some mountains. Then again, the whole game is kind of like a mountain. And I know a lot of people like to shit on this game, saying that it's one of the worst Sonic games ever, but for one, I personally don't think it's the worst thing ever, but without going into that, all I have to say is that whether you love or hate this game, you have to admit, the music in it is just great. And as for number 8, we have Growlancer 2 with An Ordinary Quiet Day. And how appropriate, because I really do find this song is really good to be listening to on an ordinary quiet day. So in case you're wondering what this game is, because it is kind of obscure, well, it's a tactical RPG done in real time, which is pretty cool. And I remember the song plays during a resting point whenever your main character, Wayne Cruz, decides to talk to one of the other party members. And obviously it's nothing hectic going on. So I really like this song, mostly because I find how the instruments, like, you know, like the guitar at the beginning, and then there's like the catchy drum beat, and then of course, I really like the bass in this song. I don't know why, but it's just a damn good bass sound. And everything else is really good too. So not only does the title of this song suit perfectly, but yeah, even the song itself. So either way, I really love this song, and it's probably one of my favorite songs within the game next to the whereabouts of one's victory, but that song isn't very relaxing, so that's why I didn't mention it here. But I figured I'd mention it just because of the fact that that's a really good song, and well, just the OST in this game is just really, really good. So it's worth checking out for that, or if this game actually sounds interesting to you, then yeah, I can definitely recommend it. And at number 7, we have Tecmo's Deception with Theme of Fiona. And if you're familiar with this game, then you're probably thinking, how in the actual hell do you get a game that is about a guy trapping people because he's trapped inside the castle and he has to harvest a whole bunch of souls to resurrect the devil? So how did something like this end up having a relaxing song? Well, if in case you haven't heard it, it's the theme of Princess Fiona. Now, of course I'm not going to get too much into the story here, but all I have to say is that she's the princess, and no, she's not being kidnapped, but she's actually being forced to go marry your guy's brother because, well, he's a dick. Well, anyways, I really like the relaxing tune, mostly because I really like the guitar, and I also like the pipe organ in the background. At least I think that's what it is. Either way, I know it's some kind of piano, so I find it to be a very short and sweet tune. Nothing much else to say other than that, I just really like it a lot, and hell, I just really like the whole OST. And as for the people that have known me for quite some time, then you already know I'm a huge fan of this series and this game. And if you're always looking for something different, then I highly recommend it. And as for number 6, we have Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess with Faron Woods. Yeah, when it comes to Zelda games, it's really hard to pick one because there's also quite a lot in there. But because Twilight Princess is my second favorite Zelda game, in case you don't know what my first one is, that happens to be Link to the Past, and I talk about that one quite often. And it's been years since I played Twilight Princess. So after playing the HD version of the game, I was pretty happy to see everything I was once familiar with, you know, with like the setting and the music, and of course, this song definitely being a great one. So not only does it have that mysterious forest feel to it, which I really like, and I also find that to be pretty relaxing, weirdly enough, but I really like the backup light guitar in the background that you hear. I definitely really like that a lot. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that most of us are familiar with a lot of the music within the Zelda games. So overall, this one is definitely one of my many favorites that's relaxing. Same thing with the night theme of the Hyrule Fields, that one's also really good too. And as for number 5, we have Magical Knight Rayearth with The Magic Curtain of Polazoo. I think that's how you say it. So this is a game based after an anime of the same name. And so far from what I've played of it, I can tell you that it's definitely really good. So just like some of the other ones that I mentioned with the reasons why I like them, with, you know, it being like the guitar and such, well, this also applies here. I really like it a lot. But one thing that does make this song a bit more unique is the fact that I find that the song definitely does get more progressive, which is actually really cool. And it definitely sounds like something I'd be like sitting in a chair looking out a window in like a nice sunny day, but I just don't feel like doing anything at all. Or it also sounds like something I'd be listening to in like a study or something, but either way, I find it to be really relaxing for that, and of course, it's just a really good song. In fact, the whole entire OST for this game is also very good as well, so I can recommend that too. And as for number 4, we have Artanelico Melody of Elemia with Ancient Memories. As again, this is another series that I really like, and it also happens to have a lot of music that is just so amazing that it's really hard just to pick one. And I think picking one of the hymno songs would definitely make this way too easy, so I decided just to pick one of the background musics, and I think this one definitely works for that. Ever since I first heard this song, which is in the area called the Silver Plate, this song always got stuck in my head. And it's so relaxing that it actually never bothered me that it got stuck in my head. So it definitely sounds like something that came out of an ancient temple. And I find that kind of music to be really relaxing, believe it or not. Yes, as much as I like my heavy metal and rock, well, I gotta relax sometimes. So anyways, there's nothing much else I can say other than that I actually really like this song, and I just really love the OST overall. In case you didn't watch my review for it, well, I can already tell you that the music in every single game is definitely really amazing. Even if you're not a fan of the games, or not even a fan of RPGs, I would highly recommend listening to it. You will not be disappointed. Well, unless you don't like this kind of music, but that's totally understandable. And as for number 3, we have The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel with The Land of Blue Sky. Now, if you ever played this game and you know where this song plays, then it definitely suits it perfectly. But in case you haven't, well, the easiest way to describe it is that it's basically a giant open field, but with like some mountains everywhere. It's actually very nice looking. And it kind of reminds me of the song that I just talked about from Artanelico. And yes, this song also gets stuck in my head too. So as I already said, it really does sound like something you'd listen to in like a wide open field, and I really like the progression of this song. So I do apologize that I'm kind of running out of things to say here, but it's definitely a really good song, and the OST in general is also really good. It has a lot of like hard rock tracks, which is great, but it's also nice to have like at least one relaxing one, and this one is definitely suiting for this. So bottom line, I really enjoyed this tune. And as for number 2, we have Chrono Trigger with Secret of the Forest. I'm pretty sure you can tell that this is another forest theme, which I really like a lot. In fact, this is actually one of my favorite songs within the entire game. And that's saying something because I actually love the OST for Chrono Trigger. So it has a really good ambient feel, which is awesome. Progression is very nice. The piano and the bass in the background sound awesome. So is there anything else I can say about this song that anyone hasn't said before? Well, I can't really think of anything much other than that, well, this song is amazing and I really like the relaxing feel to it, so it definitely deserves number 2. But if a song does make it on this list or even in the honorable mentions or whatever, then hey, you're doing good. So speaking of honorable mentions, let's get to that. So the first one we're going to mention here is Nier with The Prestigious Mask, Shadow Hearts with Daily Life 2, Sayuki Journey West with Theme of Love, Secrets of Mana with Into the Thick of It, Tales of Zestiria with Melody of the Water, Albert Odyssey with Mysterioso, I think that's how you say it, Kingdom Hearts 2 with Cavern of a Remembrance, and the final one that I'll mention is Metal Gear Solid 4 with Old Snake Theme. Now clearly there's a lot more I could mention here, but we'd be here forever. So those are all the honorable mentions, so now let's move on to the number 1 spot, and that happens to be Watchin' Rotor with Blind Girl. Now, I'll be honest, I've never played this game, and I don't even know how to say it, because this game is only released in Japan, and I never heard anyone ever actually say the name out loud. So I have no idea if it's actually called Watchin' Rotor, but that's how I'm saying it because that's how it looks like it's said. So this is a tactical RPG that was only released on the Sega Saturn in Japan, which is very unfortunate because this one actually does seem like a pretty cool one. So even if I never played the game, I can easily tell you that the OST for this game is definitely very good. And as you can tell, I find this song to be very relaxing as so. So it's very simple, and also sounds like something I'd be listening to on a study, and of course something with like a huge window, or something that I'm just browsing through a bunch of books or something. I don't know, that's the kind of feel I'm getting from it. It might be different for other people, but either way though. The one thing that really got my attention about this game was actually the composer who made this song and a couple other songs within the game. And that composer happened to be Ian McDonald. Now in case you're not familiar with the name, he used to play for 2 bands known as Foreigner and King Crimson, and that's definitely awesome. Because I'm actually a huge fan of King Crimson, and at the same time, I'm also a pretty big fan of Foreigner. So when I heard that he'd done music for a video game, I was very curious about it, and as you can tell, I am not disappointed whatsoever, because I frickin' love this. And I can recommend this to you, especially if you're a huge fan of the 2 bands that I just mentioned. And personally, I would consider this to be one of the most underrated video game soundtracks I ever heard. So there you have it. Those are some very good examples of songs that I find to be very relaxing within video games. Yes, there's like a bajillion others out there, but I can't mention everything. So if there are any OSTs out there that I did not mention, whether if I know them or not, well, feel free to list them, and of course, I'll give them a listen and tell you what I think about them. So before I end this thing, the last thing I will say is that hopefully you might have actually found out about a song that you may actually really like. And before I forget, feel free to make another suggestion of a top 10 list that I haven't done already. So for now, thank you for watching and commenting.